Good evening, everyone. It's Jim again. You know, the only guy at Paranormal Fellowship, because I'm the only guy I trust. Every other group I've been in, you always get someone who wants to be famous. They want to be the next TV star. They want to be the expert that knows everything. I care less about all that crap. I'm just in this to try and get answers for myself. Let's see. I'm trying to remember the last one I did. I know they're too far and in between coming lately. I've just a lot of stuff going on personally, and I'm bald. I just wear the hat because it makes me feel better. But a lot of stuff going on personally. So it's just been a little tough to get motivated to make the videos. So I think this one, I'm going to try something. I'm not going to guarantee it's going to work. I'm going to try that iMovie and try and add some pictures to go along with the encounter. Otherwise, you're just stuck looking at my ugly face and listening to my pathetic voice. So here it goes. So it'd be, I think it was 2021 in March. It was the coldest day we'd had all year. And for me, those are the days I like to go out and look for Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call them. Because there's not going to be a lot of other people out there. I mean, you might get an occasional person, but you're not going to get many people out there. And there was a little bit of snow and ice on the ground because we'd had snow and ice out there. And figured, okay, this would be worth starting. Now, to get there, you have to walk along this hiking path. And unfortunately, they paved it instead of leaving it just dirt. But, they had to pave it for the people who ride the bicycles and go jogging. But then you veer off from the hiking path, and then you get into the woods. And I'd taken reports of a Bigfoot encounter there where it scared the bejesus out of an ex-Marine and his wife. And he had a 9mm in his pants at the time, and he was still scared to death. He wouldn't draw on it. He actually got so scared, he moved from the area and moved down to the city where he didn't have to worry about running into things like that. So anyways, I get off of the hiking path, and I go into the woods, and first thing I find is those little blinds that you use for turkey hunting, deer hunting. There was one, I mean, these things are expensive. There was one left there. I mean, you could tell it's been there for a while because there was a branch through it. The folding chair was still there, and it was all smashed up, and it looked like someone must have took a shot at a deer or a turkey or something, and they missed it, and they got upset and just ransacked the whole camp. So I kept walking, and like I said, there's snow on the ground. And at the time, I'm about 350, 340 pounds. And, got all the winter gear on, winter coat. And I had that Renaud's with my fingers. So I have 2 or 3 pairs of gloves on. I got a pair of hiking boots on with a couple heated socks. Not heated socks, but, insulated socks. Winter coat, my hat. And I'm hiking through this snow and ice, and come up to this one area that, used to, in the spring and summer when you go there, it's underwater. But now, because winter's here, it's ice, so I can get across it. So I start walking that way because it's an open path and it's leading towards an area I want to get to. And there's a ditch you got to get over. I mean, it's not that big a ditch. My younger days, I'd have just jumped right over it, no problem. Like I said, 350 pounds with a backpack and all the winter gear on, walking in snow is you're thinking about this. So I find a spot, it's a little bit narrower, and I'm like, okay, so I try to do the elongated step over top of this thing, over top from one edge to the other so I can get across it. And as soon as I put my weight on that other bank, the other bank breaks loose, and I go right into a creek, about almost up to my knee. So well past the waterproof of the hiking boots. And it's just like I said, it's 14 degrees outside, 12 degrees outside. Instantly just frozen. I'm like, well, I'm already here. I'm going to keep on going because it's going to be the same for me to get back to the trail to get out of here as it is if I just keep going straight. So I keep going straight. And I get to this point, there's this little shrubs and the corner of the ice going into the wood line. And I look down, and the ice is broken. Now, like I said, I'm 340, 350 pounds, and I got all this gear on me, so I'm probably pushing 400 pounds. And the ice isn't even creaking for me walking across it. And I look down, and this ice is broken, and it looks like It looks like King Kong's footprint, not a Bigfoot footprint, but it just looks like this huge, huge footprint. And I'm like, there's no way. But I'm like, I'm going to just take a look at it, see maybe, because when the ice gives way, it usually gives way to the general shape, but it expands. So I'm down on my knees and I'm looking at this stuff, and you can definitely see where there's like a heel print. I can't tell if it's like a Bigfoot or a boot or something. It's just like, you can see the heel print, and then it goes out and it makes a foot shape. So I don't know if it's someone wearing a boot or what it is, but again, I'm down on my knees and I'm doing measurements and I'm trying to look around. And as I'm down there, I hear a wood knock off to my left. And I'm like, no, I didn't just hear that. I'm just hearing things. It's just the weather playing tricks on me. And then I hear a wood knock again off to my left. And I'm like, what? So I stand up and I'm scanning the woods over to my left. Now, normally I would have went through and did a wood knock back, or I would have made a whoop or something like that. And a little voice inside your head, inside that head in there, that bald head, said, no, just stand here. So I'm standing there, and again, I'm scanning the woods, and I'm looking out there, trying to see like a shadow or a figure or a deer or something. And then all of a sudden I hear off to the right. I'm like, what? I just heard two over to the left, and now I just heard one over to the right. So I scan over to the right looking for something. I'm like, again, it's the woods. It's hard to see, and plus there's a little embankment that you have to go up to because there's train tracks on the top. And then it goes down the embankment and back into the woods and out to the Shenango Dam. So I'm like, I can't really see anything. I just see a bunch of snow, a bunch of branches and trees and shrubs. And I'm like, I got to take a closer look. I'm going to scan from the right back to the left and see if I can see something. Just as I'm doing that, up from the embankment from the other side is two hunters. And they cross over the railroad tracks, come down the embankment, and walk the little trail going back up to where you get onto the main path to get out of the woods. So I'm like, this is kind of interesting. One on the left, and then one on the right, and then in between them is two hunters carrying shotguns, because I guess it was either duck or goose season, or I don't know. I don't really hunt anymore, but I just know that they had the blaze orange on, and they had shotguns over their shoulders. And so I'm just sitting there watching them, and as they get up there and they get off the railroad tracks and go down the path and head back to the vehicles, I hear off to the right again. I'm like, all right. And I'm still sitting there listening. Then I hear off to the left. So it was like the one on the left was saying, hey, there's someone coming. The one on the right says, okay, I see him. And then when they got out of the way, the one on the right said, okay, coast is clear. And the one on the left said, okay, thanks. So now my interest is piqued. I'm like, I didn't just see this. I mean, like I said, normally I'd be doing wood knocks, I'd be doing whoops, and like I said, my little voice in my head said, no, just let it go and see where it goes. So I'm like, all right, so I'm walking through the woods and I'm heading towards the embankment, and I forgot. There's a stream there that runs along the bottom of the embankment. But I'm like, okay, it should be frozen. I walk across the frozen ice. Physics. Flowing water does not freeze like stagnant, like stale, non-moving stagnant water. It takes more for it to freeze solid. I forgot this bit of information. So I started walking across the ice, and I got midway through, and the ice broke, and guess who went into the water again? Yep, so now I'm soaked in both legs all the way up to the knees, and like I said, it's below 20 degrees out there, and I am just froze. And I'm like, I've gone through this so much already. I have to stop and see what's up there. I just got to take a look before, a quick 5-minute look, and then I'm going to head to the trail and go back to the car and try and warm up before I get frostbite. Luckily, don't feel much in my feet most of the times. Just like I said, my hands. So I walk up there, and, like I said, it's slippery. It's a little bit rough getting up this embankment. And I get up top of the embankment to the railroad tracks. And at first I'm like, okay, there's been some hunters here walking around. And I start walking down a little bit, and then I look down and I'm like, wait a minute. And I got down on my hands and knees and I'm looking and like, these aren't boot prints. They're footprints. They're barefoot footprints. And it wasn't just like one footprint. We're talking there was a pathway that went at least a quarter to half mile long. And what got me from there was three, that's right, three different size footprints in there. And you could see they were like following each other because some of the footprints would interlap and some of them were like side by side. But there was three different size footprints. There was 19-inch, which counting for snow melt and everything was probably about a 17-inch. There was a 12-inch, probably been around, say 9-10 inches. And then there was a smaller one. It was only probably about 9 inches or probably about 7 inches. Last two could be made by people, but that would be a lot. Again, it's under 20 degrees out there, and this is snow and ice, and these footprints went on and on and on. And I followed them. And like I said, they got up there to right about to where the trailhead spears, where you can take the path back. And then they veered to the left and went into the woods, and I couldn't follow them there. And I didn't want to keep looking because at this point, my toes and my feet were starting to go numb. And I'm like, yeah, I said, this is amazing. So I got back, and like I said, walking on that paved trail was no fun because everyone had been walking and hiking on there and running, made footprints on there. And then when the rain and the ice and the snow came, it made it icy. So it was all uneven surface. It would have probably been quicker if I'd have walked back through the woods. But I got back and I got the heat going in the car, get warmed up, and I let some people know, some friends know. And one of my friends actually went out there to try and see him for himself. I don't know if they ever found him, or if they didn't find him, or what went on. But like I said, all these skeptics go, well, you only find one footprint. That could be anything. Well, for all you skeptics out there, get up off your lazy butts, get out there in the woods, and go and look. You just might find something, or maybe that's what you're scared of. Again, I'm going to sit there and try and get this into a little bit where I could show a couple of pictures that I've taken and put them in with this encounter to make it a little more enjoyable. If not, you're just stuck looking at my ugly face and listening to my whiny voice. Hope you all have a good night. Peace out.